is a testimony, a loud testimony to this ideology. Before joining UWE Bristol as Prof Vice Chancellor, Paul had worked at the University of Wolverhampton, where he progressed to become the Dean of the School of Engineering and Built Environment, and led a regeneration drive aimed at improving business practices of more than 3,000 engineering companies in northern Birmingham. He has since joined University of UWE Bristol, being instrumental in developing the Bristol Robotics Laboratory as the largest in the United Kingdom, and the establishment of the Southwest Health Technology Hub attests to his academic leadership abilities to cross subject boundaries. Paul Olomolaiye is a fellow of the Royal Society of Arts and Manufacturing and member of the Chartered Institute of Building. He is committed to every cause he takes up. He is a gifted, creative thinker and strategic policy developer with a passion for futuristic vision and excellence, and is renowned among his colleagues and team members as an inspirational leader. The Vice Chancellor, the chairman of this occasion, other professors here in attendance, great first students, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I present to you today a proud product of this university who graduated from this university years ago to do his keynote speaking. Professor Paul Olomolaiye.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. First, I want to say that all protocols duly observed. But even despite that, I must acknowledge my professors here. I was surprised to see that many of my professors are still here. And I'm looking at some of them. These were my fathers in academia. These are the ones who brought me up. And it will be stupid of me not to acknowledge the work which they did. The work which they did, I want to say, this is Professor Ajayi. I can say Professor Amole is still as handsome as he used to be. And then I saw Professor Fadare. I'm told Professor Laiwola is somewhere and is there. I can see the daughter. And these are the guys who brought me up. These are the guys who took the Department of Estate Management to the Department of Environmental Planning, Design, and something. And these are the guys who built this faculty some 30-something years ago. I want you to clap for them. When I look at them, they're looking very satisfied indeed. Because a department that was 40 students or so at most is now, I'm told, more than a faculty of 2,000 students. Developing leaders all across the world, from South Africa to everywhere we can think about. And I think they've done very well. I want to say thank you very much, sirs. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm very, very grateful. Thank you. I can speak about many topics, but I think it's better for me to set things in context. First, for me to connect myself to yourself, and then after that, to be able to speak about a global context. A context that is within which the built environment dynamic changes is happening. And I want us to just quietly look at that. I've been given 30 minutes or 45 minutes to do that, and I will not spend more than that. I hope you can ask me some questions at the end if it's a bit beneficial to you. The first slide there says, guilty as charged. I don't know whether it's clear. I graduated from this prestigious university some 38 years ago. That was 1981. Please, I started university when I was only 4 years old, so I'm still a young man. And after the graduation in 1981, I proceeded to the NYSC year in the then Gongola state, where I served as a copper at Kwasalda Construction Company, owned by the then GMPP state chairman, Mr. Manasseh Daniel. We were building classrooms and hostels for government schools, for the state government. But then my boss had a running political disagreement with the governor of the state, and our money for work done for the classrooms and hostels was not paid. And tried as we may, we had to bribe right from the clerks to the state accountant general to get our checks released. I'm sure Ife didn't teach you how to bribe. Okay, but I had to begin to see how can I get my checks released almost 3-4 months after graduation. That was a tough environment. We were heading towards bankruptcy. If not for my boss's other businesses, including distributing fuel from the MPC depot in Maiduguri and cement distribution from the Ashaka cement factory in Gombe or Bauchi State, I don't know where it is. My boss quickly read the signs, and he decamped from the GMPP to the NPN. He had to go to Lagos in those days to declare for the NPN, and it was on the way to driving him to the airport at top speed, under police protection, in one of our cars, and I was the driver, that it occurred to me that I had actually become a political thug in all but name. That was true. I graduated 3, 4, 6 months. I've almost transformed into a political thug. Yes, and I can say nothing more than a political thug. I had the support of my boss, but could not wait for the NYSC year to end before returning to my familiar terrain here in the Southwest. Unfortunately, all of my NYSC saving was taken from me at gunpoint in a taxi in Jos Township, but I'm glad that I escaped with my life for the first time. I've escaped with my life several times in other escapades. I was one of the best students in building technology on the building technology degree program, and Professor Wahab invited Stephen Ogunlano and myself back as graduate assistants and registered us on the MSc Construction Management program. Professor Eko, who is unfortunately not being able to be here this morning, was a year ahead of us, and Tunde Lashabi and Delani Dada were our classmates. I was on the program for some 2 years, and thereafter got admission for a PhD at Loughborough. I was part-sponsored by this great institution for the PhD, and was expected to come back to contribute my quota to national development. But I haven't come back to this campus until just 2 days ago. So I've now been here for 34 years. The credit for that goes to the current dean, Professor Babalola, who came to my office and said, "Please, Paul, what have we done against you that you have disconnected from your university?" But it was actually my guilt for not returning that kept me off for so long. I've been working with other universities across Nigeria, across African landscape, but I've not been able to cross that guilt threshold. And I told the Vice Chancellor yesterday when we visited him that this is what kept me off. And he said, you are forgiven. And you should not have thought that way. The bursar was in the room, and I'm sure the university bursar must have gone to check whether I paid the money back. But I think I feel forgiven. And I'm sure that you've all forgiven me. Is that okay? Thank you very much. That is why that is guilty as charged. Okay? Now let me go. I was going to speak. I can speak about everything, but I'll say, let me say, what have you learned about the UK university system? So what have you learned? You've been there for such a long time. You've grown from being a graduate assistant to being a pro-vice chancellor and running university in the UK. So what is different? So as I give this lecture, please, I'm not saying UK is superior. I've not come in here as an expert because we are in different contexts, different problems, and the solutions could be the same, but there is nothing in me whatsoever that we're experts. We want to learn from you, and what we can say is that whatever we've learned, and we learn from you, you learn from us, you can make solutions for the Nigerian context to be better than what you want it to be. Now, so what I've learned about the UK system. Now, knowledge builds on observation, discovery, and reflection, the three of them in a continuum. So you have observation, discovery, and reflection in a continuum. Initial observation is not always true, but may not be untrue either. When observation and immersion, you observe and you immerse yourself. Like I've immersed myself for 30-something years in the UK system. When observation and immersion collide, and if it is peppered over time with continuous inquisitiveness, why is this working this way? Okay? Then discoveries may be made to solidify knowledge in that particular continuum. I'm sure you get it. What I observed 20 years ago may have been modified through immersion and may now be true. It may be untrue or nearer the truth than when first observed. I have observed and have been immersed in the UK system for some 30 years after my PhD, and can say that I have arrived at some truths, some near truths, and lies in 4 or 5 main areas. And I will highlight that, and I will hope that you can use that, reflect on what Nigeria is, and I'm trying not to criticize Nigerian system. Neither am I trying to praise the UK system. So please, I'm trying to be neutral. The first thing is about university funding. What I've observed in the UK is that universities are funded from one source, but are different based on the vision of those charged to run the university. That is, the university directorate, the vice chancellors, its alumni, and the community that it serves. The decision on what type of university you are depends largely on the leadership and what the stakeholders allow the leadership to get away with. UK universities are funded mainly through the Student Loans Board, who provide tuition and maintenance loans to students to attend the university of their choice. The Higher Education Funding Council for England used to operate an arduous system of funding university directly, as currently done by the Nigerian Universities Commission, in which every fund comes from the NUC. Subjects were in different fee bandings. So if it is medicine, is classified in fee band A, engineering is in fee band B, architecture fee band C, economics band D, and so on. Each university was paid by the proportion of students that they have in different categories. So if you have more engineering students, you have more money than somebody with economics students. This funding model underpins the country's industrial base, or reflects the country's industrial base and manpower planning, and worked for as long as there was enough funds from the exchequer. Soon, there was not sufficient fund because of economic challenges, coupled with government's desire, the Labour government desire, to have higher education for 50% of 18-year-olds. So if you have 18-year-olds, 50% coming into the system, then you haven't got sufficient funds to actually fund them at the same quality level. When I came to this university, we were very privileged few. Okay? And for the young ones amongst you, I think I was eating 50 kobo a day. Nigeria could afford that, but with population growth, you can't. All right? So the same thing happened in the UK, and the universities in UK quickly discovered that they needed to look for funds elsewhere. And what they did was to go overseas. And they practically commodify higher education. That is, higher education became a commodity that you can sell into the global space. And that was to look for funds. And globalizing UKHE as a business was a rational answer. So you are having to move from the education base, in which education is a right to everybody, to a space where education is a business. That's a shift. And that shift happened in the UK, in which we commodified higher education. UKHE now generates 100 billion pounds annually through overseas students. That is twice the entire Nigerian economy. And that's for the British economy. And vice chancellors, deans like myself, or pro-vice chancellors myself, we travel around the world, establishing campuses and attracting international students to obtain their degrees in the UK. In 2 weeks' time, I will be in Oman. In another 3 weeks, I will be in Thailand. We have a big office in Lagos. We have offices all over the Southeast Asia. And we are not doing that because we are missionaries or because we love you. We are doing business. Okay? And we are establishing campuses and attracting international students to obtain their degrees in the UK and further extend the global influence of UK PLC. This has been good for the UK, and Nigeria supplies a great number of these students. Why are you saying Because Nigeria supplies a great deal of international students also to Benin Republic and also to Ghana. But let me limit myself to the UK. Highest product quality and differentiation underpin and continue to lead this drive. And the UK degree or English degree remains the best in the world. Because the money we get will underpin the quality for world-class competition or standing of the British degree. I will tell you more about product differentiation later in this lecture, but must emphasize world-class quality as the underpin for competitive advantage in the global university HE market. But first, let me explain 4 things. 1, apart from one privately owned University of Buckingham, all other universities in the UK are publicly funded via the Students' Loans Board. So it is possible. UK, the 5th largest economy in the world, had to devise the Student Loans Board to respond to the financial challenges to educate up to 50% of our 18-year-olds. Okay? And what that did was that instead of universities going to one place called the Higher Education Funding Council or to NUC in your place, the government created a student loans board so that the student loans board provide loans to the students to go to universities. Okay? So what you did by that little switch is that the power goes into the hands of the students to go to any university that they want to go to, depending on their ability. And the Student Loans Board gives loan to everybody who is able to get a university admission. Because it was impossible for you to increase fees in the UK system, because people will say the children of the poor cannot get into universities and it becomes elitist. But if you put the loan somewhere everybody can access, then that breaks that log jam, okay? And the students can go to anywhere they can, whether they are poor or not. And they don't pay anything back from this loan if they don't get work. And according to government estimates, only 30 or 40% of that loan will ever be paid back. Okay? But what you have done is to empower the students to be in charge and for the universities to compete for the customs of the students. I'll explain a little bit better. Economic challenges are real and life isn't easy anywhere. And only those who innovatively think through issues survive and escape being enslaved by others. Academia has seen hell in Nigeria because we listen to the strikes. We're doing business with University of Lagos, and then it was 7 months strike. So you've seen hell, and I do understand that. And the public sectors have been seriously shortchanged and have been fighting back using the same tool of strikes, okay, which they and the students are largely tired of. Limited funds have been spread so thinly and then thinly, and many more institutions have been created. And great institutions, world-leading institutions like my great Ife, has been reduced to the same cost unit as some ones that were started yesterday. And that is because you are spreading the same unit of resource so thinly amongst everybody. Okay? I'm not being elitist here. I'm just trying to say something which, if you could bear with me, you will hear me. Globalization of the UK university system And that advantage was an obvious move. And I believe Nigerian universities can and should learn a bit from this, but must have some great product underpin to attract the rest of the world and vocalize that Nigerian universities can also get students from other countries. That's where I'm going. So you may say that, is it a competitive university business? Sorry. It's a competitive knowledge business. Yes, education should be the right of every citizen, and the Nordic countries have perfected our best to do this, all from the public purse, all underpinned by excellent quality that continue to enable the economy, the politics and peoples of these countries, and to make them excel continuously. We may argue that the population, heritage, and resources of these Nordic countries place them at an advantage. But we cannot deny that they are well structured and organized to balance a quality higher education and skill development from cradle to grave. Quality education gives the human a competitive advantage over other humans and other species and makes it difficult to be enslaved by others. I sincerely believe that had we Africans knew about what mirror is, nobody would have sold a whole human being for just a 3-inch by 3-inch mirror 400 years ago. You get that? That's the truth. So knowledge matters, and education advantages one person over the other, and there is a business about it. In order to do this, the UK has concentrated on the quality of higher education provision more than any other aspect of pedagogy and learning. To do this, the interplay of market forces was brought in to engender competition between universities to provide the highest quality of education and graduates for the labor market. If you are not a good institution, fewer 18-year-olds will choose you, and your finances will be impossible, and you will fail, and you will beg to be merged or taken over by another institution. Institutional autonomy is underpinned by finances and anchored by reputation and market attractiveness. And these are determined by 4 things. Let me hope I can get this. Okay. Student experience, graduate employability, research excellence, enterprise and industry engagement. The competition between universities is for students who come with £9,250 tucked between their fingers, without which institutions cannot survive. There is no cap on the number of students that an institution can admit to any course, but students and their parents are guided by the quality metrics that will make them choose or run away from a particular institution. This ensures competition between universities for excellence and relevance to the main stakeholders, which is students, for the overall benefit of UK PLC. Why will you go to a university with a very poor graduate employability? Why? There's no need. The Office for Students regulates aspects of student experience, and they have the Teaching Excellence Framework. And the Teaching Excellence Framework grades each university as gold, silver, or bronze in teaching. Do they teach well? And then part of the gold is that graduate employability is core to TEF, and producing unemployable graduates disadvantages an institution in the marketplace. Coupled with this is the research excellence framework. You can see an example of maybe a league table there, which goes from one institution to the other. You expand it, you see it. In which the students are able to grade you. Am I satisfied with the course? Am I satisfied with teaching? Am I satisfied with teachers' feedback? Am I satisfied with student to staff ratio? How much do they spend on students? This is graded and it informs the student choice. And students will run away where there are bad records. Okay? Coupled with this is what we call the research excellence framework. And is a quality metric for knowledge creation end of the HE business. UK research funds, UK funds research wherever there is good research. Okay, and they are not just simply allocated research funds, but it's given to those who are doing something with it. So maybe we can have another like this. So you see the research income, which is 7.9 billion pounds to UK universities from the government. And that is distributed in those different things. And that is challenged and informed by what we call the research excellence framework. Now, we are busy at this time. Sorry. Just a moment, please, okay? So we are busy at this time looking for the next research excellence framework, and my university is trying to do as best as it can. You will find that Oxford and Cambridge will do well, and they may cut away half of this money. And so you have to go and look for money elsewhere, and you must at the same time be respectable in your research. If not, nobody will come to you for PhD. Okay? Now, my university is great at teaching with a TEF goal, but is aspiring to perform better in research and is recruiting the best research brains around the world and has achieved the largest robotics laboratory in the UK, okay, over the past few years, and should do well at the next exercise. So we are competing actively with each other, not because we want to compete, but because we want to improve our market attractiveness. Okay? Some of you who are socialists or communists may not be comfortable with this, but it is very education, our higher education for us is business. Not every university could lead research at world-class standards, but they could fulfill other aspects of the higher education mission with no UK institution forced to look like the other or managed down to the same resemblance without distinction. A university like this cannot be collecting the same level of research funds per unit of students as another university that is just starting. So how does a university like this maintain its leading edge in a very competitive marketplace? The second thing I've learned in the UK university system is what I call a civic university system. I have learned that a university must affect our immediate locality to be globally relevant. Knowledge drives development and must be the light in the darkness of social and economic melancholy and mediocrity. If a university only mirrors its immediate environment, then it is of no use to anyone. UK universities drive local policies and connect the center to the local and vice versa. Like that. There was once a time when the British car industry collapsed in and around the city of Birmingham in the West Midlands region of the UK. The government knew that the effect of this on the local economy and workforce will be devastating and quickly form what is called the Rover Task Force, including all the universities in the region to find a solution to the impending unemployment of car workers. The government's task to the universities in the region was to know what should be done to existing factories to convert them to other uses and other supply chains. The universities of Birmingham, Warwick, and Wolverhampton were at the arrowhead of this task force. That is, the government is challenging the universities in that region to solve the problem. They are not going to some politicians and giving them some special projects to do. No. It's the universities that has the knowledge that is leading that regional drive. Okay? And funds were channeled through these universities to enable companies to re-engineer their processes, re-engineer their products, and start competing through other supply chains. Being the Dean of Engineering and the Built Environment at Wolverhampton then, I had to anchor my university to more than 300 engineering companies who were supplying to the car manufacturing companies to redesign their processes, to create common prototyping laboratories that are accessible to small and medium enterprises in particular, and deliver project outcomes as required by the government and the European Regional Development Fund. This is reflected in the positioning of UK universities under the Department of Business, Energy, and Industrial Strategy. The UK university system is not under the Ministry of Education. Hello? We're under the Department for Business, Energy, and Industrial Strategy, with a Minister of State for Universities. With a Minister of State for Universities, Science, Research, and Innovation, rather than being located in the Ministry of Education as in some other countries. With universities at the nexus of re-engineering and re-energizing their immediate communities, it is not difficult to see that they grow with the companies, with placements and internships for students, and eventually affect graduate employment. Academia is irrelevant if it does not underpin local businesses for global competitiveness. I once asked at a public lecture sponsored by the First Bank at the University of Lagos, the Lagos Annual Economics Lecture, some 3 or 4 years ago, how many companies 5 kilometers round, thank you, 20 minutes more, how many factories 5 kilometers round the University of Lagos was benefiting from the R&D within that particular campus? I will not tell you the answer. If local businesses in Bristol are not doing well, then no jobs for our graduates. And we go down the table, the league table, and our region empties to other regions, or they start flying away to Australia and to Boston. So our youths will fly away just like you are seeing in Nigeria, in which our youths are flying away after being educated to degree level to other areas. I'm not putting the blame of that only on universities, but I'm saying we are conscious of it because we are tired and we have to ensure that there is job created in our region. So very civic universities in my own, that's what we are running. I once checked the league table of WAEC results amongst Nigerian states, only to discover that Osun State isn't doing great. But rightly or wrongly, I asked what are the universities and HE institutions in the state doing to shine some light into this darkness. I know this may be very political, and I don't mind. I will run away. Over 3,000 students from my university every week read books to pupils in schools, primary schools, secondary schools across Bristol every week. That is, I'm telling you, 3,000, 10% of our students are in schools, peering with teachers as part of the drive to ensure that our students and pupils do well. Okay? Now, I don't know how connected our students here. I'm not talking about people learning to be education teachers. I'm talking of people in engineering going to schools to write mathematics with the students to teach them in class, free of charge. A simple thing is that we encourage them that you go and do this so that when you get to a job interview, you have first class with another graduate with another university. But you can say, I have been to schools, I have been with children, I can do this. There is something value adding and extra about you. That's the way we run a very civic university. The third thing I've learned in the UK, I'm giving a report of myself. I was told I have 20 minutes more, and I will beat that. You may all have been wondering about the relevance of what I've been saying to the built environment per se. I'm trying to go into a bigger environment before we close down as the conference progresses. I'm of the firm belief that you really cannot separate a subject in a university from others. And that the larger university pedagogic and research environment or culture determines the success of each subject in that university. I believe so. And I believe that there cannot be a successful built environment industry within the Nigerian space unless the Nigerian economy is doing well. That's simple. You look at the global, you narrow down. I gently and with all respect ask, why we all have Doctor of Philosophy, PhD or DPhil, as the ultimate academic qualification? This is because all knowledge was philosophy until less than 200 years ago, when we started dividing it into various branches of chemistry, physics, mathematics, history, planning, and so on. Knowledge is essentially one. And we are in the knowledge acquisition and distribution business. I came to the University of Ife in 1977 to study BSc Estate Management. And on resumption, learned that the department was becoming EDM to train architects, planners, estate managers, builders, and quantity surveyors. Don't forget I was admitted to read only estate management. Within the first semester, the Italian from the University of Trieste, they took us to the arts building, to the arts faculty. I'm glad it is now part of EDM. They took us there to draw a life-size female model in front of me. Of course, my unregenerated soul could not draw a single line. Looking at a naked lady, meaning art and architecture was not for me. I can't draw nothing. But it was for Mama Tokes, we call Tokumbo Dubanjo, Akintoye Oluwatudimu, Daramola, Arayela, I think you still remember some of them, and many others. I ended up in building technology as my favorite, and I did well with it, which confirmed really that I had the ability to do any subject or any knowledge that I want to seek within the University of Ife space. That's the truth. I do not know how many academic departments or faculties at Ife, but generally in the UK, I've been taught to work and think beyond departmental boundaries and constantly work to fuse different strands of knowledge together to advance humanity. I can fuse computer science to engineering, to architecture, to language, to ethics, to philosophy, so long I can secure funding to do my research. In fact, it is now very difficult, if not impossible, to secure funds for non-boundary crossing research. Knowledge advances is neutralizing boundaries. And I want to say that very carefully. Please, I'm not criticizing your structure or anything. But you cannot get research funds that is meaningful, that runs into millions, if you don't cross your subject boundaries. Knowledge is one. The divisions are artificial. And I will encourage us to do that as we continue this relationship. Our drones from engineering are delivering into retail businesses like Amazon, spraying insecticides in agri-businesses, taking photographs for Nollywood, and working in battlefields all at the same time. Okay? We have reflected this boundary thinking, cross-boundary thinking, in the structure of our university to keep us lean and agile, to take opportunities to remain in business. So if you come to my faculty, to my university, we only have 4 faculties, and we bring subjects together deliberately. We put research grants to encourage people to cross boundaries so that they can get other grants that are very boundary-breaking knowledge seeking. To remain in business also. The last thing I want to say is my student are my all. And it's good to have my fathers here today. Before concluding this lecture, let us ask ourselves what we are really trying to achieve for humanity. Why are we acquiring and distributing knowledge in a continuum that will either be better or worse off by our existence? Sometimes I ask, will humanity be better off by my existence? By being a professor of construction engineering and management? Am I actually making a difference? Yes, we get paid a salary for doing what we do. And through it, we feed our families and sustain ourselves. But to what end? A mother once attended one of our open days to ask about our university for an 18-year-old who was with her. It was when she was asking our questions that it occurred to me that what the mother was doing was to ask me to help develop our daughter into a responsible and independent adult that will be able to have a better life than her, maybe for the next 60 years. I wasn't just getting students. No. I was receiving this student from the mom who want this student to have a better life than her. The subject was irrelevant. The certificate was not the issue, but an empowering knowledge, expertise, and confidence to transit life comfortably was what she wanted for her daughter. This mother has incubated her daughter for 9 months, given birth, fed her every day, taking her to the nursery, primary, and secondary schools. And my university was the last leg in this relay race for a better life. And the baton was being passed to me. The daughter was going to pay me a significant fee. In the UK, this would be about £50,000 over 3 years. And this daughter was going to take this as a loan from the National Students Loans Board, and she's going to be paying back this loan for the next 20 years. Then I got it. That this is my calling. And I must do all my very best for this lady and her daughter. I must be best equipped with the best pedagogy to ensure learning. My research must be world class. I must engage industry. I must make my university somewhere she will be proud of forever. I must make her a confident leader, a light in the darkness of the fast-changing world. How rewarding and rich it is when you see your graduates 20 years after graduation doing well. I think that is the bigger goal. And that is what the essence of a good lecturer, a good researcher should be, to impact the next generation. I'm very proud because my fathers are here, and I hope they are proud of me. And I think they've done something for me because the way they received me, they were professional in every way. They poured knowledge into me and the confidence to be boundary breaking and to be able to challenge the world that somebody from Ife can do well. I believe you have forgiven me. I believe you have forgiven me and hopefully convinced that Paul has shared some observations that can be modified. I'm careful about what I've said, not to get into the political space and challenge the Nigerian university system. The UK has adopted a very market student-led approach to university education. It is funded from one source, the Student Loans Board, that empowers the students and competitive, bring competition between university and is differentiating. And aimed at transforming localities and empowering regions to be attractive to investors and increase global influence. The UK is constantly reviewing how best to deliver a world-beating university system. We currently have the Auger review that is reviewing that. And those of us in the university leadership feels the pressure daily with the government breathing down our necks. I'm proud of my great Ife. Your impact in medical field is outstanding. Your EDM is leading African built environment renaissance. Your computer science has gained the African Center of Excellence in Software Engineering. Your agriculture has been sustaining generations, and your alumni are leading many universities across the world, including the engineering faculties at both Stanford and MIT. That there is knowledge within the air and the water of this place is undoubted. And that more future champions are walking your corridor is certain. I know it has been difficult. Yes, we all know. But you folks have stood where others fell. You stayed while others like myself ran. You are the heroes to those of us in diaspora. But together we can and must now connect to work hard together to make our world the best it can be. We're not playing games here. We are globalizing this relationship. And we are dreaming very, very big to even make this relationship much better. We must cultivate and nurture future architects, builders, surveyors as our own very dear children. The future of all of us. And I'm confident that EDM and Great Ife will do it. Yes, you will. Have a great conference.
Once again, a round of applause for our keynote speaker. Thank you very much. I believe we've been charged, and that will go a long way as far as the whole interaction in respect of the conference is concerned. For better interaction, our keynote speaker has spoken extensively from all that he has put together over there in the UK, and giving us the charge to see how to make things happen, and that without impacting our local environment, the essence of educational system is almost useless. So we want to have one or two questions. Looking at our time, by now we should be rounding up on the second keynote. So we just want to have some few questions. We'll go for a tea break, and then we'll be back for the second keynote. So I have a question. Can I have your hands up? One? Yes. Any other person? Okay, without wasting time, probably you come forward, sir, to ask a question.
My name is Wale Ajilowo. Thank you, Prof, for that beautiful delivery. My question is that in the delivery, you tried, and you stated it that you try to avoid not stepping into the political space. And looking at the model of having student loan and some other things that were mentioned, my question is it really possible to have this by avoiding political space, especially in this environment?
Okay, yeah, okay. Now, can I answer this?
Sorry about that. I would have expected we have all the questions together and then you just respond. So, for the last time, you have question. Can we see your hand up? Because I could only see one then. So, I mean, after this, that's the hand. All right. Thank you very much. You can go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Olomolaiye. And I think he spoke very aptly to the difference in context. We live in two different worlds. You live where education is business. We live where education is a right. My simple question is, now, to collaborate with you or those outside this country, how easy is it going to be when the basis on which we approach knowledge is so different? And you are talking of a collaboration with you. Is it not going to be a frustrating process? Because sometimes, there are many times, people outside this country want to collaborate with us, and they wonder why we are so sluggish. Because we get our salary, whether students come or students don't come, our salaries are paid anyway, so what's the big deal? Why do we need to be innovative? We're not in a competition with anybody. So are we doomed to be going down, or is there hope for us?
I've tried as much as I can to avoid a political space. Okay? But I do understand, and I think when I started, I said, look, we used to have, the UK used to have the same problem. Okay? And the problem was that education was a right. Okay? But that right then meant the university sector was for the privileged few. And when it was small, the state could afford it in the UK. When it was small in Nigeria, they could give us Sunday lunch, 3-course meal for 20 kobo. You understand? When the Labour government in the UK came, they had a target to say, for the many, not the few. That is, up to 50% can go to university if they qualify. Okay? Now, you cannot have that huge population on the same restricted income. Okay? The same thing happened in Nigeria. As the population started growing, more people wanted to go to university. Okay? The reaction of the two countries was totally different. One country went and said, wow, British degrees are good. Others may want it, so we sell it. Okay? So we go to international students, we go to China, we go everywhere, and all you deans, all of you out, go and get us students. So we go around the world and look for students, and we are able to balance our books that way. Okay? The Nigerian system says, oh, there is no money. And I'm not talking whether it was stolen or anything. There is no money. All right? So, we're going to distribute this small that we have to universities like this. And this project, this building that I'm in, was conceived 30-something years ago. There was Olomolaiye builder here, building the foundation. Was neglected for the next 30 years. Okay? And the country was creating more universities to accommodate on the same unit cost. It is impossible. Okay? So you have to break the logjam. The UK went and then said, okay, fine. In order to distribute this cake, I'm going to create a national loans board. Okay? And everybody can go there. All right? Now back to your question. How do you build a partnership like this? Okay? I can tell you we have win-win partnership, and that is what we are doing. It will be good for Ife, it will be good for us, okay, financially. Today, I think the guy says they are going to break even. That's good enough for us. For the University of Ibadan, we have been running a master's in construction management with them. They do half at UI, they do half in the UK. We've been doing that for the last 6-7 years. It's a win-win thing. We've been playing in Malaysia, in Singapore for many years. It's a win-win thing. University of Nottingham has a campus in China. It's a win-win thing. So it is possible. But part of what I'm trying to say is that we got to rethink the Nigerian university funding system. You cannot increase fees because it is politically impossible. Just like it was in the UK. Okay? But if you can create a student loans board, okay, and then you may be able to do it. I'm not saying ours is the perfect thing or anything, but that may be a way to do it. Okay? I hope I answered the question. Your question, sir. Oh, okay. Policy, to me, honestly, I think Nigerian universities are doing all their best. Okay? They're trying to lobby for true autonomy. And I think true autonomy also requires autonomous finance. Honestly, I don't see how a university of Ife, okay, my university, will not be stronger if you just leave them on their own. Okay? To charge the fees which somebody can get loan for from a place, this place will be more full. The guys here, we have the same brain. Okay? We can't be sending students to Ghana and Lome for God's sake. We can fight within that space if there is true financial autonomy. Okay? That is politics. And then you cannot play the politics and say there is no fee increase and not provide an alternative. And I think all of us should come together and provide an alternative thinking to the government space. And I think, don't get me into trouble, I have no political ambition whatsoever.
Thank you so very much. I do hope that as we personally have found, something about our educational system. Someone was sharing with me, you want to get employment in this institution, we put it in the, vacancy, you put all the various things there. But to be a governor, to be a president, you know what is required to be that. So it's a serious system that needs to be balanced. That those that are in the authority to make the policy that will affect the education, they don't seem to have all that it takes that you have as far as education is concerned. I do hope as we go on in this conference, we'll find answer to some of all this. Going by our program, we'll be going straight away for the tea break, and it's just for a period of 20 minutes. We want to employ us that, I do hope it happens in other professional bodies. When we go for conferences, we allow our senior colleagues to go forth, they take theirs, and thereafter the rest of us, we join them. So, leaving this hall, if you've collected your bag, you can look into it, you have your ticket there that you need to come up with. Leaving this hall, just keep moving down, to your right, you'll find the dining room by your right as you move on. So, but we will encourage as many of our senior colleagues who want to participate in that to lead us while the rest follow. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, while that is going on, knowing fully well, it's something probably you can be mobile with. There is, from a video that will be going on here, we can come around and, make do with our break. All right, hold on, please.
I brought this video especially for the students. If you can take 2 minutes to watch it. It's about a Nigerian student, Silas Adekunle, who one or two of you might have heard of. And he graduated 4 years ago. While he was studying, he was in primary schools encouraging people around Bristol. He's from Lagos. He has developed the first robotic game in this world, and his product is now in Apple. On Apple Store, you can check him up with millions of pounds of investment in his company by the Japanese, and within 4 years, he's already employing 40 other people in Bristol. Now, it may be good for you to listen to him as students, and I think it captures what we are trying to do in our university. I'm not advertising him. He doesn't need it. Okay? But to see if our students here can begin to think cross-boundary, an enterprise way, and begin to do new things. So if you have time, please watch it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We can please proceed. We look forward to commence the second keynote speak in the next 20 minutes. Thank you very much.